Bring. Where's your block? Where's the block? Good boy. Welcome back to Pro Shop. It's Pete here. Barney's back. Anika's behind the camera. Sorry we haven't been putting out any content. We've been really busy, just doing a bit on each car here and there. It's just not enough to put out one video on the car. So we're going to be doing something a bit different, and I'm going to walk around today and I'm going to show you all the stuff I've been doing this week. I'll give you an update on the Camaro. That's going to be going tomorrow. The RBEH I've been doing a bit of work on. The 57 Chev, I haven't even shown anyone that, nor the F truck, a bit on the Chev C1500, so let's get into it. Alright, the final few parts have arrived for the Camaro. I did say in the last video that it was heading out for wiring and trim. The guys doing the wiring weren't ready for it just yet, so they gave me all the components to fit and they'll be ready on Monday. So I fitted everything to a shelf which sits behind the dash. There is the Motec, the PDM. We have the aircon module that runs the air conditioner. There's the module for the headlight retractors, the module for the handbrake, and then this is the CD player head unit. Well, it's not a CD player, it's just a touchscreen head unit. And this is a new module which just arrived last week. This is what I did this week, was fit this module. And it is a keyless entry, something late model. All you have is this little key fob on you, and it senses when you're near the car will unlock, and then it's just a push button to start. There are little things like antennas that have to be mounted around the car, away from structure, metal structures and stuff like that, and a little receiver transmitter as well that had to be fitted. All that just so it can pick up the key fob and get in the car. So that was done this week. I'll show you the dash. I just made this steel dash which is removable, make it easier for the guys to trim it. All that goes in here is the Motec dash and the touchscreen for the head unit. So that's all we'll have in the dash, except for these little things. Don't know if I showed them in the last video. I might not have turned up. The billet air vents. So not sure if we're going to put these up here yet or down in this section. We'll figure that out when we're at the trimmers and when the trimmer can come up with some ideas. But the last piece to turn up was the billet specialities steering wheel. So I'll tape this up and wrap it up nice so it doesn't get damaged, but we do need it to push the car around. I don't actually have a spare 9-bolt steering wheel that we can use. This came with a bare wrap, which will then trim that in the color of the interior, and the horn button. So yeah, this was quite expensive to get here. I think this is around about a $700 steering wheel in the US, but converting it, shipping it, customs and taxes, it was close to $1,700 by the time it got here. So yeah. What else?
Where are we going now?
The RBEH. So you want to stay on this side. So I've been doing a lot of work on the rear of this, but that wasn't this week. I did some modifications to the hinges, but I'll show you that later because that'll be a big video. I'll just show you what I've been doing on the inside. Okay, this is because I hit my head on it so many times. So last time we were here, I think we were doing the floor. Anika was helping us and we were doing the floor in the cab. And I've already had this all done, which was just tubs were tacked in and these side sections were all tacked in. And then this week I just made this structure. This is the floor bed, and because this whole bed is going to be lifted up and down, it needs a place to hinge. So that's why I strengthened this, and the hinges will be bolted onto this, and the whole thing will lift up. So I welded all that in. I had to make these sections first. And level it all out, and then I could build this structure. So this is nice and square and level. And it took a while for everything to be trimmed and fitted in place, but now that this is where it needs to be, all I'm going to do is move the car forward on the chassis table and put some stands underneath the back so it's nice and square. I can clamp it down to the table, and then I can fully weld all this in. And then the last piece of the puzzle is actually one of the hardest pieces I've ever had to fold up. So I got this in one piece. I won't put it in just yet, but this is the false back wall of the cab. And this was tricky to fold because every time you fold these, it creeps it in a little bit and a little bit, and it can put everything out. So I have to start in the center and work my way out, and then fold these last folds, and to get it all in one piece. So there's really only just going to be a weld down the bottom, weld across the weld down the sides and top and bottom. But I can't put this in yet because behind the seat here is going to be like the battery, maybe the aircon, all that stuff is in here. And then this is going to get a hard lid as well, so the hard lid's going to lift up. So I now have to structure all this, or frame this out, so it's a strong structure to hinge off. So yeah, that was this week on this car. So let's go to the next one.
What's next?
The next one is a car that I haven't even told anyone about on YouTube, and that's the 57 Chev. Now, I've had this car here for a while, and I've been doing bits and pieces on it. Last week I built the exhaust, and this week I just had to finish a few of the things off, because where the exhaust ran close to the tank, I actually cut the corners off the tank, so I had to weld the tank up. Had to weld the sender unit in, had to drop that down a little bit, it was just a little bit too tall. Just because it doesn't sit all the way down to the bottom, so I'll drop it down, and that way this will be a bit lower, because that's a bit too high. Okay, got the tank back in, sunk that down, so it's as low as profile as possible. And watered up the corners of the tank, just in here where the exhaust passes through. Bolted it down and had to just weld up the tops of these and the top around here. Bolted the exhaust door back in place, and now I'm ready to put the body back on. There is a cover that goes over this gearbox which stops it exploding if it ever does, and it created a little bit of problem on the top of the tunnel, so I had to actually extend the tunnel and bridge it up and do all that sort of work. The other thing, this 1950 F truck.
What's an F truck?
An F truck. It's an F100, but an early one, so it's not an F100. They're called an F1.
What type of car?
Ford.
A Ford.
Ford. Oh, sorry, it's a Ford F truck. I think it's a 1950. This is a good story. This is a story I've been wanting to tell for a long time, because it seems to happen to me a lot, is finishing someone else's unfinished project. So this customer bought this as an unfinished project from someone not far from here, and I think he's been building it in his shed for a long time and ran out of money or time and ended up selling it, and said it was close to being finished. So when I went and had a look at it with the new customer, we walked around it and just nutted out a list to see how to finish it, and that's what I've been doing on this. This week was the last of it. As you can see, Like, we completely rewired it. That was the old wiring. Still got to put some door rubbers on it. Just some little fiddly stuff. And then all I did this week, was put the air filter on it. We got it running, and it runs quite nice for a Ford V6 out of a Mustang. So there'll be a full video coming on this because, as I said, this is a story that I want to tell, finishing an unfinished project. Because I seem to do that a lot. The Camaro was an unfinished project. The 57 was an unfinished project. And probably the greatest unfinished project that I've had my entire life is my car, which I've just decided to unwrap and get it out of the covers. This one here has showed me, because he kept on pissing on it, I realized that it's become a bit of an ornament here that I need to do something with.
Good job, Barney.
Yeah. So
well done.
A lot of these cars are going.
Well done. Well done.
There's a big shift happening, and I'm going to be pulling this out and get it up and running again, because it was close to being finished, but I started building this car in my garage when I didn't even have a workshop. And all I wanted was a workshop to work on my car. And when I got a workshop, I hardly even worked on my car. I've been working on other cars. So the idea over the next few months is to get back into this. I've got to rebuild the motor, and actually I won't even show anyone. I'm just going to keep that as a surprise. What have you got there, Barney?
My filmography is terrible.
You've been all over the place, haven't you?
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that happened this week was, I'll just show you in the engine bay. So the main thing we had with this car is that we're trying to get 1,000 horsepower under the bonnet, which is pretty hard for a naturally aspirated car. You're supposed to have a tall manifold and big primaries on everything's just working against us. So from modifying the cross member, dropping the motor down, dropping the motor back, putting a 4-inch cowl on the bonnet, everything was really close. We even got a 16-inch air filter with a drop base to drop it down over the carburetor, and it was still probably about 15 mil out. It actually just touched the bonnet. So what I did was cut down the air filter and made my own air filter and shrunk this down from, I think it's 3.5 down to 2.5, and now it clears. But the problem is it stops the airflow. So I found K&Ed do a air filter top, and I actually haven't told you this yet, but this is one of my dilemmas today, this week, is that finally I found a company in the States. Usually I use Summit for a lot of their parts, but Summit had this part in stock, but they wouldn't ship it. I found Jegs. Jegs have that part, they would ship it. But when it arrived, see how it's an air filter top, so it can suck air through the top. This is a 14-inch one. So after paying almost $450 to get this here, it was in a 16-inch box, but someone had packaged it wrong. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh.
So let me keep telling the story, because there's a happy ending.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
So I found it hard to get in contact with Jegs. You can't email them. You have to ring them. Time differences. I came early in one morning, rang them up, and they said, yeah, no worries, we'll replace it, just ship it back to us, which was going to be another $100 and something to ship back. And I said, it's not my fault, so it was packaged wrong. So all I did was, they just wanted a measurement and a photograph of me measuring it. And I did that, and they said, no worries, we'll send you a new one. So hopefully next week, the new one will arrive. So if anyone wants a 14-inch one, we've got one. All right?
Happy ending.
Happy ending.
And if anybody needs that, let us know, and we will ship it to you.
So that was a lot of those things. That's what happens when building a car in Australia. I've talked about this before. Stuff like that happens with the shipping. But this time it worked out all right. Lastly, because this weekly update is getting a bit long, I'll quickly show you what I did to this. From the last time, I don't think the wheels have been ordered, front guards, everything has been done, but this week was just doing the intake. Just a quick little show of what's going on. I've been doing a lot of work on this, but yeah, that's where we're at with that. Well, that's about all we got up to this week. I want to keep these update videos coming, so if you like that, let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It really helps us. So let's get to it. We've got to get this car ready to go. So have a good day. Thanks for watching.
Say hello. Hi. Say bye. Say bye.
Enabled. We haven't had enough.
Okay, can you start that again? Because not one word made sense.
How about you do the intro?
No.
I can get this, right? I can get it. Just be patient.